Hi, Grandma here, reading Dave at Night, chapter 23. This is at Irma Lee's party. Mama! Irma Lee sounded furious. You said you'd... Now, baby girl, I'm not a baby. I know, sugar. I just came up here to say hi and make sure you two were enjoying yourselves. Baby, honey, did you take Dave to get something to eat? Irma Lee turned to me, looking worried. Irma Lee asked me, I lied, but I had a big supper before I came. I hoped they'd forget about the drawing. Were you drawing my baby girl? I shrugged. I didn't want her to see the drawing with one eye halfway up the forehead. Mrs. Packer didn't make me turn the pad over. She just said, be sure to introduce Dave to Aaron Douglas if he comes, baby girl. In a little while, Mama, you said, all right, babe, sweetheart, I'm going back to my game. You know where I am if you need me. She closed the door behind her, leaving a heavy perfume scent in the room. Let me see my picture. Oh, I messed up your face. I didn't bend down for it. She didn't look. Instead, she plunked herself down on the floor. If you could have one wish, what would it be? For Papa to be alive again. This was the time to tell her I was an orphan. I sat down and slid the drawing pad behind me. Sally isn't my grandpa. Then why are you pretending? She didn't sound mad at me for lying, just curious. And what about your mama and sneaking out in your pajamas? I picked up one of the jacks, turned it over and over in my hand. I couldn't look at her while I told the truth. I snuck out of the HHB, the orphanage, in my pajamas. My mom was dead. She didn't say anything, so I kept talking and looking at the jack. My papa died 6.5 weeks ago, and my wish would be for him to be alive. I looked up. Tears were rolling down her cheeks. She didn't need to cry over me. I was all right, but maybe she was crying about her own parents, too. When did your mama die? She asked. I told her how Mama had died because of me, and then I found myself describing Papa's carving because she was in it. When I talked, she stopped crying. Can you sneak out whenever you want to? I can get out sometimes. Could you bring the carving to show me? I shook my head. Mr. Doom has it. I told her about the things in my suitcase and seeing the carving in his knick-knack cabinet. I didn't mention him beating me, but I'm going to get that carving away from him. How? I don't know, but I am. She got up on her knees and collected the jacks and the ball. This is how you do twos. What would your wish be? I asked. To go to school and jump rope and play tag and have girlfriends. I stared. You don't go to school? She shook her head. Do you know how to read? I could teach her. She jumped up and pulled a book out of the bookcase against the wall. This was written by a friend of Mama's. She shifted her feet so she was standing straighter. Then she coughed and began The Weary Blues by Langston Hughes. Droning a drowsy, syncopated tune, rocking back and forth to a mellow croon, I heard a Negro play down on Lenox Avenue the other night. But the pale, dull pallor of an old gaslight, he did a lazy sway. He did a lazy sway to the tune of those weary blues. She read it slowly. When she said sway, she dragged it out, so I felt the musician sway. And when she said weary, she sounded weary. I clapped. She looked embarrassed. Miss Mulready teaches me to declaim and all my other subjects. She comes every day. Why don't you go to school? I wish I didn't have to. Mama likes to keep me nearby, and The door opened again. Irma Lee swung around. Darn it, Ma! But it was Sally. So, boy chick, here you are. He sat on Irma Lee's bed. I stood picking up the drawing pad and held it behind me. Mr. Gruber, Miss Irma Lee said, would you tell my fortune? I'll tell for you your fortune, the parrot squawked. If he tried to trick her, I'd tell her he was a phony. Irma, my fortunes aren't the Gonzalo Magilla, the whole story. Good. He knew better with me watching. I don't care. Sally took the cards out of his pocket and shuffled them. Behind my back, I tore the drawing off the pad. Then I turned away from Sally and Irma Lee, folded it up, and stuffed it into the waist of my knickers. Now I'm going to pause right here. My husband said, why don't I explain all the Yiddish words? Well, first of all, I did tell in an earlier episode that they are in Wikipedia under David Knight. Second of all, the author often will define it within context. So here we just had a good example of it. Gansa Megala, the whole story. So I don't have to tell you because the author tells you that's what it means, the whole story. Okay, continuing on. The boy chick can help me. While Sally shuffled the cards, I rocked, moaning softly with my eyes almost closed. Irma Lee giggled. Sally turned a card over on the bed, a 9 of hearts. When you're 9 years old, you will get married. Irma Lee giggled harder. I'm 10 and a half. Oh, so I made a mistake. I groaned loudly. Sally turned over another card and placed it to the left of 9. It was a 5. The cards tell all. When you are 59, you will get married. For the first time? Sally turned over another card. For the 6th time, or you will have 6 children. The cards are not clear. Or I'll have 596 children? Oh, not possible. I would never prophesy such a thing. He turned over a joker. Is that my husband? You're planning on marrying a playing card, Urbula? He gathered up the cards. I came in to see if my grandson wants to get something to eat. Irma Lee whirled on me. You didn't eat before you came, did you? I shrugged. Irma Lee knows you're not my grandpa. I could tell. He could tell his own lies. That's right. You shouldn't lie to your friends. He stood up. So let's go eat. Irma Lee led us to the front staircase, which was much grander than the back one. The 3 of us could walk down it side by side, and the carpet was so deep it practically tickled my ankles. Halfway down, Sally grabbed my arm. Look, boy chick. I could barely hear him. The crowd was even thicker than before, and the noise was a roar louder than a subway train. Sally talked right into my ear. See the bald-headed colored guy with the goatee? He pointed. Hurry up, I thought. I'm hungry. I did see him. There was a little space around him. That's W.E.B. Du Bois, a scholar and a writer for the Negroes, a genius. Someone at the bottom of the stairs called to Irma Lee, and she went down without us. I was afraid of losing her, but Sally was still clutching my arm. And look, he pointed at a colored man coming through the door. That's Casper Holstein, a big crook. Like you? A ganef is a big crook like a mouse is a mountain lion. That no-good Nick runs the numbers game in Harlem. I, on the other hand, only, and do you see, Dave, that bunch, the ones laughing with Dora? I nodded. They're all poets and writers, colored poets and writers. Tell your grandchildren you saw County Cullen, Wallace Thurman, Arna Bontemps, Langston Hughes. They won't believe you. You'll see. Langston Hughes wrote that poem Irma Lee had read to me. It was interesting to see him. I've never been in the same place before with someone whose words were in a book, but I didn't want to stand there staring at him. I wanted to get back to Irma Lee. She was only a little way into the crowd talking to a hat. Not really, but that's what it looked like from up here. The lady was wearing a purple hat, another a fishbowl-shaped one. I couldn't see her face at all. Sally finally let go of me, and I ran down the stairs. Irma Lee, I said. She excused herself from the lady. There's foie gras and oysters, she shouted to me. Come on. Sally caught up with me, put his hands on my shoulders. Make way for the Crown Prince and the Princess of Sheba. Irma Lee was about to disappear ahead of us. I lunged forward, put my hands on her shoulders. Her dress felt smooth and soft, and I could feel her bones underneath. Make way for the Crown Prince and Princess of Sheba. The crowd parted. Now this chapter was an interesting chapter in that it mentions quite a few people who were important in the Harlem Renaissance. One of them was, of course, Langston Hughes. Another one was Aaron Douglas. Look up Aaron Douglas. He was a famous painter. Langston Hughes, by the way, is one of my very favorite poets, but the others are all very good too. I've taught all of them in high school. County Cullen, Wallace Thurman, Arna Bontemps, Langston Hughes, they are all very good. And W.E.B. Du Bois. I have taught them all at the high school level. So if you're interested in that kind of thing, write those names down and look them up in the Wikipedia. They're all very interesting people. And for them to be at Irma Lee's party, that is quite a party. Bye-bye.